Welcome to Faith Alive in 5, the 5-minute gospel. Now here's your host, Dr. Faye.
Esther was an orphan. She lived with her uncle Mordecai. And as a little Jewish girl, she did what she needed to do to help put food on the table for both herself and her uncle. I don't know if she had siblings or if there were any other relatives. They just weren't mentioned in the Bible because there are many people not mentioned in the Bible. But yet we see that her story was significant because of the calling of God on her life. In this series, as we continue in part 9 of Closing the Gap Between the Prophecy and the Promise, I want us to focus in on Esther this time. Esther grew up with no mother and no father. So I can imagine her clothes were not the best. She probably couldn't wash her hair like she wanted to because she was not from that family. But she was yet had beauty within. And Mordecai saw something beyond her tattered garments, beyond the dirt, beyond her life where she came from. He saw a promise within her. So when the time came that the king needed a new wife because the old wife, the first wife, had rebelled against the king. She wasn't going to do what he asked. We won't get into that story. But what happened was that seemed like a bad thing. It was clearing the way for the promise. You see, because God knew who Esther was, even though she looked like somebody else. So when the king needed a bride, Mordecai brought it to Esther's attention and said, hey, it's time for you to step out of where you've been to where you have been called. Now, I'm sure Mordecai saw her future. He didn't have her to come and go through what she needed to go through to prepare to be a queen so that she could be disappointed. I believe Mordecai was prophetic. And so Esther was taken in by the eunuchs, and he tended to all of the maidens who would be in this beauty contest. So every time he would parade Esther around, he had given her extra beauty cream, extra clothing, extra. She found favor with him. He coached her and mentored her. Remember, he already knew what a queen was supposed to walk like, talk like, think like. So he imparted to her as a eunuch, as a coach, life coach. He knew her destiny. So he prepared her for where she was going because he could see the end from the beginning. And as he poured into her, the Bible says it was 2 years between the time Esther came in and the time that she was actually acknowledged as the queen, the new queen. Yes, she took on that role because she had been prepared for it. She'd been coached as a pastor coach. As a coach, I can tell you, you have to prepare people for where they're going even when they can't see it. The eunuch prepared Esther, and that period of time, she walked right, she learned how to speak right, she learned how to eat right, which fork went where, which plate went where. She knew how to be a queen. So when she was handpicked and the king found favor, she found favor with the king, and he called her back time and time and time and time and time again because she was the one that his heart longed for. You see, God has prepared a place for you. He's prepared a table before you, for you in the presence of your enemies. And it may look like nothing right now. It may look bare. It may look ugly. The things you went through may look horrible, and you feel like there's no recovery period. You'll never get over it. You'll never get over the pain, the hurt. You'll never get over your parents' death like Esther had to. You'll never get over your divorce like many have had to. You'll never get over the loss of that child like many have. But I'm telling you, you will, because God has appointed destiny and purpose. There is royalty that awaits you on the other side of poverty. There's wealth. There is healing on the other side of your being wounded, because God knows the end from the beginning. He knows how to close the gap between an orphan girl and the queen. Oh boy, I love this series and I love you. Thank you so much for your continued support. You can send your tax-deductible donation to Dr. Faye at P.O. Box 251, Stuttgart, Arkansas 72160. God bless you. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast. Dr. Faye would love hearing from you. Contact her today at 870-860-9758 or email coach@drfaye.com. And remember, the calling is a gift, but the choice is yours.